Well, after way too long, here's the Alabama turkey hunt part 2. Life got pretty busy after the hunt ended in April, and finally got around to putting this video together. I didn't get all of the footage I wanted, and the way that I ended up shooting my turkey, I got footage of the shot, but I didn't get a really nice footage. I'll try to explain what happened to the best of my ability. Also, sadly, which really bummed me out at the time, is I had my GoPro going as I was shooting the turkey, and then it was running while I was walking up to it, and when I was going crazy and everything, and sadly that footage got corrupted somehow. But anyways, after those 3 toms came in, I stayed in that general area for a few more days because I knew at that point that they had turkeys there, and there was a good bit of turkeys, but I just couldn't get back on them. And the ones that I was hearing gobble in the morning around 9 o'clock, like I was saying, they just started drifting further and further away. I probably spent a day or two too long in that spot, but eventually I was looking at the map and decided to go hit a different spot, and that's where I ended up, and that's where I ended up shooting my tom. The day I ended up heading there to scout, I got there around 1 o'clock or so, but I had picked this creek that went into a corner of some public that bordered some private. I got in there and I just walked all the way to pretty much to that corner. About a mile and a half in, there was a creek, and I stopped at that creek that afternoon. To get to that creek, I had to go through a bunch of timber, and then there's a big chunk of cutover, and it was pretty fresh. It was just kind of hilly area, and all the trees and all the scrap wood and everything was still on the ground, and it had started growing up a little bit, but not really. It was just wide open. You could see all the way across it.
I made my way to this cutover right here. I got on top of the first ridge, and I was looking around, I didn't see anything, so I called. And I waited a little while and I didn't hear anything. So I started moving to the next ridge. And right when I got on top of the next ridge, one gobbled 100 yards from me. And it sounded like a jake. It was a pretty weenie gobble. But right when he gobbled, I looked over and he was flying off into the across the creek right there in front of me, over to the next hill. Man,
I screwed that one up. But it got me excited because I knew they had some turkeys in the area. Anyways, it was getting late that day, so I backed out, and then I came back early that next morning. I set up on a creek that morning before the cutover, a small one in the timber, hoping maybe someone roosted by there, and I didn't see anything. I crept through the woods close to that cutover and found a little opening that had a bunch of clover in it, and I set up there for a while hoping maybe someone would come there to feed. Didn't see anything at that clover, so I pushed through that cutover, got to that creek, crossed it, and then obviously I went up a ridge right there where it dipped down into the creek, got over that, and I started heading back towards that corner of the public where it meets the private. This whole time I'm creeping about 100 yards or so and calling and listening, and once I got a ways back in there, I called, and then I heard a hen start just yelping her head off. And my thought was that maybe she was with a tom and she was kind of telling me to get out of there, I started yelping back at her and copying her and trying to get her aggravated with me, and was hoping that she would drag the tom that I was assuming she had with her over to me. After talking with her for a while, I sat there for nearly an hour, and nothing happened. So don't have footage of this either. But I crept real slow over to where they were at. I got up to a ridge, and I was pretty sure that she was on the other side of it. When I peeked my head over, there was her and a Tom standing there, and they took off. At this point, I was kind of aggravated because I had spooked, one Tom already, and then I spooked the hen and that other Tom. But I was still excited because I knew they had turkeys in this area. Before leaving that day, I scouted a little bit, and I found a creek that had a bunch of scratching in it. It was just a huge area, and it was just tore up with scratching. I mean, I didn't see any hogs while I was over there, and I didn't see any hog sign, but this scratching looked like a big area a bunch of hogs had rooted up. I said this in part 1 of the Alabama turkey video, but I'm not an expert or a really experienced turkey hunter. But I know next time I see scratching like that, I'm gonna be setting up in that area at least one day. And that really, at this point, it tells me that they got a lot of turkeys in there, and they frequent the area if they're scratching it up that much. So my plan was for the next day to get back into that area with the scratching really early. But on my way out, on the top of that ridge, right after the creek that I have to cross to get into that area, when I got to the top of that ridge, I started walking down towards the creek, and I found a wing feather. So I thought to myself, well, maybe that's where they roost at. So the next morning, when I got in there, I set up near where I found that wing feather at, hoping there was some roosted there and start gobbling. I could call and one would come right to me. And obviously that didn't happen. So I got up and I crept my way back again into that scratched up area. And when I got over there, I could hear something down that creek, kind of making some noise walking through the leaves and stuff. I crept real slow until finally I saw it was a hen, and she was scratching in the leaves. I got some video of her, thankfully. And where I was set up, I was just watching her and filming her. And then I thought to myself, man, like, some toms could show up at any minute. Let me back off a little bit and find a spot to set up, and I'll just sit here the rest of the morning. I crept back away from her about, 30 yards or so, and I found the perfect setup. There was a tree that fell over, there's branches all around me. I got snuggled up in there. So right after I got set up in that cover, I heard the hen start, putting or whatever. She got spooked, and she flew off. And I was like, there is no way she's seen me. So I was sitting there scratching my head, and then out of nowhere, I seen 2 toms just running.
I don't know if I got that on camera, but 2 gobblers just came hauling out of the woods to my left, going after that hen. I was getting set up right here, and then I called, and I was scraping the leaves and stuff, And I think she was coming towards me, and then she spooked and flew off. And I didn't know why. And then I heard something coming to my left, and it was 2 gobblers running. I thought a buck was chasing a doe over here. But there's 2 of them. One of them's head was white. Since there's 2 of them, I'm hoping maybe I can call one of them in. They got turkeys around here still, so.
I sat there for an hour and a half, and I never seen him. It was cool. I had some great action that morning, but it just didn't work out. And I think I learned there in the future, maybe don't be down in the creek. I think what I should have done is when he asked me to first get up on that ridge and set up, and I think if I would have done that, I could have sealed the deal. Anyways, this actually was the last day that we were going to hunt. That afternoon, I stayed in that area because I was like, they got turkeys. Maybe I can catch one coming to feed or something. I just set up in that scratching. And that afternoon, every now and then, I would hear one gobble. And they weren't super far, but I couldn't get any of them to answer me. And as it got later, I decided, well, let me creep through and just kind of look around some more, and maybe I'll run into one. I ended up, I was walking, and I got to this big dip, and it dipped real low, and then it came back up on the other side. And so I kind of walked around the ridge on that thing, and they had a bunch of scratching in there too. And I was like, well, man, there's another spot with a bunch of scratching. Let me set up here. And so I decided to go on the other side of that dip, and I set up on that ridge on the other side. And I said to myself, well, I don't have much time left. I'm just gonna sit here and I'll call every 45 minutes or so, and really just enjoy the afternoon because it was peaceful. The weather was great, and at this point, I had my opportunities and everything, but none had worked out yet. And really, I was just sitting there relaxing. But I kept calling, and eventually, I heard something walking down in that dip, and I didn't know what it was. It could have been a deer or whatever, and it sounded like it was coming to me. And at this point, I hadn't heard any gobbling, but I'd been calling. I couldn't see down into the entire bowl down there. So eventually I just kind of slowly crawled up to a tree, and I stood up and I peeked around, and halfway down into that bowl, I just seen a big black body and a big red head, and he was walking straight to me. So I waited until he got behind a tree, and then I crouched back down. So my plan was to wait until he sounded really close. I sat there and sat there and sat there until finally I was like, okay, I think he's close enough. So I turned my shotgun camera on, and I stood up, and I seen him instantly, So I threw my gun up. He was probably, 30 yards away. I put it on him and I shot, and I rolled him. I seen he was down, I mean, I went ballistic. And like I said, I grabbed my GoPro and did whatever. I walked over there and I was all excited. And I don't have that footage, but got up to him and I got set up with this camera. And
well, here he is. My first public land gobbler. First trip to Alabama and I got man, I had a rough time. I had a great trip. I couldn't ask for anything more than what had happened before just now. I saw turkeys, I called some in, got really close, and then this happened, and man, I couldn't be happier. Learned a lot, and I'm ready to come back. Thank y'all for watching.
But I think I ended up saying this in the footage that was just playing when I was with my turkey. But thank y'all for watching. I hope y'all liked both of the videos. I apologize that this one's coming out so late. I got me a Tom in Alabama. Not the best turkey hunter, but I definitely learned a lot. And I hope this video can help anyone that's going turkey hunting or might be new to turkey hunting. Just kind of learn from my experiences and screw-ups. Like the video and subscribe if you want to, if you like it. And season 2 of Pinemen Outdoors deer season starting this weekend, so be ready for a fresh influx of videos.